Are hydrogen fuel cell cars stupid? It's a genuine question. I bet a lot of you, before clicking on this video, didn't even realize that hydrogen fuel cell cars were a thing that existed. People claim they're better for the environment than a gas car while being easier to refuel than an electric car. People claim these things, but are they true? I don't know. That's why I'm making this video. I want to answer all these questions that I have about hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. What are they like to daily drive?
That's a lot of money.
What are they like to road trip?
If we can't fill up here, we cannot make it to Reno.
Are they better than battery electric cars?
Hydrogen's gonna take over electric cars soon.
Probably next year.
Yeah.
Do they make fun screaming noises? Are they actually really good and misunderstood, or are they stupid? Okay, now before you go down in the comments and call me a gay fat libtard who doesn't understand technology, please watch the whole video and hear me out. Then you have my permission to go down in the comments and call me a gay fat libtard who doesn't understand technology. Deal? Okay, let's roll the intro.
Chose me, I didn't choose this city. Walk right over. You're a 10, I'm a 4-leaf clover. Well, tell me, do you hate me or do you wanna date me? It's kinda hard to tell, 'cause your eyes are looking crazy. So why you coming over?
Some of you may be asking, what the hell is even a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle? Well, a hydrogen fuel cell is a fancy little gizmo that takes in hydrogen gas and exports electricity from that hydrogen gas. It does this through an electrochemical redox reaction, which I know is a big word, but let's break it down and figure out what this actually means.
There are a bunch of different kinds of fuel cells, but almost every single hydrogen fuel cell vehicle ever made uses a proton exchange membrane fuel cell.
Yeah, so the fuel cells are basically categorized by the electrolyte in a way. So the same way you have lithium batteries, lead acid, nickel metal, NiCads, all those kind of batteries, the exact same thing exists with fuel cells. PEM, the proton exchange membrane, you have solid oxide, you have alkaline, you have carbonate, phosphoric acid, a whole really large range. And each one has its pluses and minuses. It's sort of niche application. Some are really not used much.
Like Mark explained, fuel cells are not overly different than batteries in their construction, and for this example, we'll stick with PEM fuel cells, which have an anode, a cathode, and an electrolyte solution in between. Hydrogen gas enters the fuel cell on the anode side of the cell, while at the same time, oxygen enters in through the cathode side. Through some chemical reaction that I'm not entirely convinced isn't magic, the protons and electrons of the hydrogen molecules are separated. Both the protons and electrons really like the cathode for some reason, but only the proton can pass through the electrolyte. This is where the name proton exchange membrane comes from. Due to more magic thinly veiled science, the electrons cannot pass through the electrolyte membrane, but they still really want to get to the cathode, so they have to take a detour.
So from hydrogen and oxygen, we produce the only product of this reaction is water. So the electrons that pass through the external circuit, it's our energy.
Finally, the proton and electron can meet back up at the cathode where they combine with oxygen and create H2O. That was a lot to follow, so let's simplify it. Hydrogen and oxygen gases are combined to make water. This reaction releases a small amount of energy, and this energy is collected through the fuel cell. Where does this water go?
Oh, there it goes.
Okay, so we know how the energy is produced. Now what? The electricity produced travels to a battery. A battery? I thought this was a hydrogen car. Okay, well, it's just a small battery. In the Mirai, only 1.6 kilowatt hours. The power output of a fuel cell is not instant. Let's look at it graphically. Without a battery, if you slam on the gas pedal, it will take the car a couple seconds to respond, and then power ram slowly. With a battery, however, when you slam on the gas pedal, the motor uses the power from the battery to get up to speed quickly, with the fuel cell catching up a couple seconds later and recharging the battery. In this way, a fuel cell vehicle is basically a solid-state EREV. Now, the concept of fuel cells might not be that foreign to a lot of you, because in middle school, a lot of us, including myself, built little model versions of these fuel cell cars. So I figured for this video, I would build one of these model kits just to show how it works in practice. But as I was scrolling eBay to find one of these kits, I found the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen in my goddamn life. It's called the Hydro Car.
Whoa! It's going in reverse for some reason.
To power the Hydro Car, first we need hydrogen and oxygen gas. To get this, the fuel cell on the Hydro Car is reversible, meaning we can generate electricity by combining hydrogen and oxygen to form water, or we can spend electricity by separating water into hydrogen and oxygen through a process called electrolysis. And I don't think this needs to be said, but I'm going to say it anyway. This is not perpetual motion. Perpetual motion does not exist, and if you think it does, you need to go back to middle school. This is also not a water-powered car. Water-powered cars do not exist. Anyone who has claimed to have made a water-powered car is either lying, or they've just made a hydrogen car. Also, the conspiracy theories about the government killing people who make water-powered cars is just not true. The only people that the government kills are minorities. Okay, so now we've got these two tanks back here, one with hydrogen gas and one with oxygen gas. The water in these tanks just serves as a seal to keep the gases from escaping. Now we can plug in the motor and the fuel cell will work in the forward direction, turning the hydrogen and oxygen gas back into water, and juicing the resulting energy to move the car forward.
It occurs to me that I am a grown-ass man crawling around in my backyard watching a toy car run into things, but it's a hydro car. It's so cool.
Hydrogen fuel cell vehicles are not a new idea. In fact, in the 60s, our favorite company, General Motors, decided to take the fuel that powers this and use it to power this.
The General Motors Electrovan gets its electric power from hydrogen-oxygen fuel cells.
The Electrovan was the first real attempt by a major auto manufacturer to make a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle. The Electrovan was slow, with the 0 to 60 time of about 30 seconds, and it could only go 150 miles on a full tank of hydrogen. Ultimately, GM deemed it was too expensive, inefficient, and complex to really make into a real car.
But hydrogen and oxygen are expensive and impractical fuels for a car. What we need is fuel cells that can run on a hydrocarbon fuel and air.
In the late 90s, however, the automotive landscape was changing. With a newfound passion for climate activism, more and more people were buying battery electric vehicles. Things like the GM EV1 and the RAV4 EV were hot commodities, which made some auto manufacturers wonder, is the market ready for a fuel cell vehicle? Well, the short answer is no it wasn't. But really, since when have auto manufacturers cared about what people want or what the market's ready for? So, Toyota and Honda began working on their new FCX line of hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. Even GM got in on the game with their hydrogen Hummer, which proved that the clean energy wasn't just for those pussies in Silicon Valley and can be used by the real drinking and driving American. With all these new options coming to market, the future was looking bright for hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. Although, actually, none of the cars I've talked about ever made it to market. They were all just prototypes, and the companies kind of decided that they were too complex, inefficient, and expensive to actually make. Yeah, nothing had changed in 4 decades. These still did not catch up.
But that would all change in 2014 when Toyota released the Mirai. It was designed to look like a drop of water. Okay, but its name meant future. This showed Toyota's commitment to move away from the ever-growing, ever-improving battery electric car market and taking the path less traveled. The Mirai proved that once and for all, hydrogen fuel cell vehicles were better than battery electric vehicles.
By 2018, Mirais were flying off the shelf with a total estimate of 3,000 cars being sold over the span of 4 years. In 4 years, they sold 3,000 cars. In 4 years, they only sold 3,000 cars. The future was coming on fast for hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. So fast, in fact, that Toyota decided to make a second generation of the Toyota Mirai.
Toyota wasn't the only one to sell a hydrogen car in the US. There was also this, the Hyundai Nexo, which was the only option for a hydrogen car if you needed an SUV. They sold this from 2017 to 2025.
Alright, and while I have a Nexo here, I am going to give just a quick review. The car is nice, it drives really smooth, and it's really quiet, and it's not too big for an SUV, just a little bit bigger than my Chevy Bolt. The interior, though, is fantastic. I mean, look at all of these buttons.
This is genuinely fantastic. Hyundai, please do more of this.
My one gripe with the car is when you're in adaptive cruise control, there's no way to turn off the auto steer, and it constantly feels like it's going to swerve into another lane. Also want to give a huge shout out to David Anderson, who let me borrow his Nexo for an entire week. Recently, Hyundai revealed that they're working on a second generation of the Nexo, and oh my god. It's so sexy. I would fuck that car. Finally, this year, Honda actually released a new hydrogen fuel cell vehicle. And I tried so hard to get my hands on one, but I think they're in short supply at dealerships. I just couldn't find any. But what's really interesting about this car is it's not a standard fuel cell vehicle. It's a plug-in hybrid fuel cell vehicle, which means that you can plug it in at night and get about 30 miles of EV-only driving range before the hydrogen generator kicks on at all. This means that if your commute is less than 30 miles, you can drive almost exclusively as a battery electric vehicle, and then if you ever need to take a road trip, say from Los Angeles to San Francisco or San Francisco to Los Angeles, you can use the vast network of hydrogen refueling stations. Okay, I am dogging a bit on hydrogen vehicles right now, but I think it's fair that I do. This vehicle really doesn't make sense for the US market because there really isn't a hydrogen refueling network built out in any real capacity. Hey, I have merch now. It's the hydro car on a shirt, and also an internal workings diagram of a hydrogen car. How cool is that? I worked with two artists, Declan, who made this design, Australian Declan, not me Declan, he's the better Declan, and May, who made this design. They both turned out incredible. These two artists are amazing. Shout out to them for these designs. Go follow them on BlueSky. They're both worth it. Check them out. The other thing I wanted to make sure of is that the shirt was high quality. Do you ever buy YouTuber merch and it's just the lowest quality, shittiest shirt you've ever bought? Like it's coarse and it doesn't fit right? Yeah, I hate that. So I put a ton of time and effort into choosing the perfect base for these incredible designs. And I came up with this one. It's a medium weight shirt and very soft. And it's also very nicely fitting. One thing I always hate about t-shirts is sometimes they make them way too short, so that when I bend over, I'm showing my whole ass to the entire world. This one is nice and long. Not too long that it's flowy, but long enough that it's covering everything that you want to cover. It's also a little bit looser around the midsection so I can hide the fact that I ate a pound of wings before filming this, and it's a little bit tighter around the arm area to make it seem like I have bigger muscles than I actually do. I put a lot of time into making sure that this was quality YouTuber merch, which I know is an oxymoron, but go to the link in the description, buy your hydro car or hydrogen fuel cell merch, or there's also an Electrek one, and yeah, support real artists. Go check out Declan and May on BlueSky. I could stand here all day and talk about hydrogen cars and their history and their science, but at the end of the day, I don't own a hydrogen car. I tried to buy one for this video, but my husband said no, which was probably the right call. Anyway, let's talk to some people who actually do own hydrogen cars.
I learned about hydrogen cars, I mean, way back. Whenever the movie Who Killed the Electric Car came out, that was like one of my favorite movies. Yeah, so I used to fall asleep to that movie like whenever I was like 12 years old. Like it was my comfort movie. I always had it on.
Well, I had kind of been following the technology for a long time, but I wasn't really aware of how how far the actual real world development had come.
The only car my wife had ever looked at, like out in the wild, and said, I like that car, it's very cute, was a Hyundai Nexo. So put that into the filters and ended up finding one for a really reasonable price. $6,000 was what we paid for it, a couple of years ago. This is a 2021 that we bought in 2023.
Things got to the point that I was like, yeah, I think I'd like to try that.
Yeah, like I was watching the prices creep up everywhere. It went from like 14 to like 20 something per kilogram, and then 26, and then 29, and then it was at $36 per kilogram for well over 2 years. And basically when it hit that, like my fuel card got sucked dry like super fast.
When we first bought it, it actually had a major problem with the high pressure valve, so we weren't able to put fuel in it.
They've even had like not riots, but I guess like protests is the word I'm looking for, against like the Mirai and other hydrogen car makers like Hyundai and stuff, because of not being able to fuel up. And it seems that they've kind of almost given up on the dream, I guess.
It's a technology that I believe in. I think I think it's something that we as a nation, as a species, we need this to work. I probably don't have to talk too much about the need to move away from fossil fuels and all of that.
And I think it has an excellent ride. My car rides like almost as good as a Lexus, like going 70 miles an hour down the highway. It's whisper quiet, like definitely one of the nicest cars I've driven.
And I am not here to bash battery electric cars, because I definitely think they have a place, but there are some drawbacks to battery electric cars that in a perfect world hydrogen electric cars don't have, and that is the longer range, typically quicker recharging times. The thing that nobody really talks too much about is that when you look forward to a time when hopefully most of the cars on the road are electric cars, battery charging at scale doesn't really work, both in terms of the real estate that would be required for cars to sit there and charge for half an hour or whatever, and the demands on the grid and stuff. And so I feel like the model of going to a filling station and spending 5 minutes filling up your car is one that is very proven. It's what we've been doing for 100-something years.
I want to pop in here real quick and just clarify something that David said, because it's a misconception that I see spread around a lot, and that is that the US infrastructure cannot handle the widespread adoption of EVs. This is not really true. According to the US Energy Information Administration, by 2050, we will only need to increase our energy production by about 1% to account for the added load of EVs on the US grid. It's really not that big of an issue. I do want to clarify, however, I do respect David for his reasons behind driving a hydrogen car.
Just purely the technology. It's just, I think it's fascinating, and I kind of like that my car pees water that's clean enough to drink.
So you mentioned something there. Can you actually drink the water out of have you done that?
I've tasted it. I mean, and it is like clean because it goes through the ion filter and everything. It is hot water, so like maybe you'd want to make tea with it. It doesn't actually give you that much water either, but it kind of tastes, it has like a plastic taste to it a little bit. So maybe I have cancer now.
Okay, now that we've gone through what a hydrogen car is, how it works, and why people buy them, I want to investigate some of the claims that are made for hydrogen fuel cell vehicles that set them apart from gasoline, hybrid, and battery electric vehicles. Starting with one of the biggest complaints that is made with the battery electric vehicles: charge time and range.
If you scroll through Facebook like I do at times because you hate yourself, you probably have come across a comment section that looks like this. Electric cars will never catch on. I need at least 2,000 miles of range for my daily commute. Gay slurs. I'm so tired of these liberals shoving these electric cars down our throats that you have to charge for 30 hours just to go 10 miles. That's why I voted for Donald Trump. Actually, I learned from Rick and Morty that electric cars are just as bad because you have to charge them with coal power plants. I know this because I have an IQ of 150. I killed a man in 1952 and I've never told anyone. These complaints are valid. Well, okay, they might be exaggerated, but it's true. Most EVs do have less range than gas cars, and they do take longer to charge than it takes to fill up a gas tank. I think these complaints are dumb, but this video isn't about me defending electric cars. The point is, on paper, a hydrogen car can go further and be refueled as fast as a gas car. On paper. The problem is when you start testing in the real world, issues start to become apparent.
Let's first talk about how a hydrogen fuel station works. There are 3 tanks on a typical station: the high tank stored at 900 bar, the mid tank stored at 500 bar, and the low tank stored at 300 bar. This is called the cascading system.
When a vehicle connects to a fuel cell nozzle with an empty tank, they might be at a pressure of around 10 bar. If the station were to immediately connect this tank to 900 bars of pressure, the tank could overheat or be overfilled, both of which are dangerous. Instead, the cascade system starts with the low pressure tank at 300 bar. Using a pre-chiller, the hydrogen is kept at about -40 degrees Celsius to account for the heat generated from compression. This is simple high school science class PV equals nRT. Once the 300 bar tank and the tank in the vehicle are close to equilibrium, the station switches to the 500 bar mid tank and continues the process. While this is happening, a compressor begins repressurizing the low tank. Finally, once the mid-pressure tank and the tank in the vehicle are close to the same pressure, the station switches to the high tank to bring the car to its full capacity. While the high tank fills the car, a compressor refills the mid-tank. Then, when the car is full and drives away, a compressor refills the high tank.
This system is an elegant solution that allows your hydrogen fuel cell car to be refueled fast, safely, and efficiently. Under normal conditions, you should be able to get a full tank from empty to full in about 3 to 5 minutes. However, problems start to arise when you try to refuel multiple cars one after the other.
In these situations, the compressors often can't keep up with the demand, and the tanks begin to operate at lower and lower pressures until the station has to take a break. This means while the first person in line might get a 3-minute refuel, the third person in line might take up to 30 minutes to refuel. I will admit, because of the low number of hydrogen cars on US roads, this is rarely an issue, but it would become worse if hydrogen car numbers increased. Now, because one of the major concerns with a battery electric vehicle is charge time, a figure that a lot of people look at is their mile per hour, not in relation to speed, but in terms of charging. If you were to charge for an hour, how many miles would you add? Now, I want to extend this logic to gasoline and hydrogen vehicles to see how big the delta really is. Ladies, gentlemen, and of course everybody in between, welcome back to this competition, which I didn't give a name in my script. Anyway, fighting for the EVs in this corner, we have one of the most popular electric vehicles in the US, the Hyundai Ioniq 5, punching hard and fast with a charging speed of 220 kilowatts and a conservative average efficiency of 3.2 miles per kilowatt hour. It's going to be tough competition for the hydrogen and gasoline vehicles. And in this corner, representing the gas cars, we have the wet dream of every middle-aged white mom in America, the Toyota RAV4. Just the normal gas version, not the hybrid version. This car packs an efficiency of about 28 miles per gallon and is going to be tough competition for the hydrogen vehicle to beat. And now the moment you've all been waiting for, the hydrogen car with an efficiency of 65 miles per kilogram. It's the Mirai. What else was it going to be? It's the freaking Mirai. What other options are there? Let's go to the competition. Rah! I'm so tired of this bit. On your marks, get ready, and refuel. And that's a good start from all 3 cars. It looks like the RAV4 is taking an early lead with the Ioniq 5 just not able to keep up with the competition. We're getting close now around the 50% mark, and it's still looking like this goes to the RAV4, but the Mirai is close on its tail. And, oh, we're getting close, and that's time. In third place with a measly 704 miles is the Ioniq 5. In second place with 14,040 miles, it goes to the Mirai. And in first place with 15,120 miles, it's the RAV4. So this competition goes to the gas car, with the hydrogen car just not very far behind, and the electric car just not able to keep up. It was a tight race, and I gotta give it to the hydrogen car here. It does have a benefit over the electric car. However, let's talk about those efficiency numbers a bit more, and for now let's only focus on the pump to wheel numbers. For an EV, there is about a 10% loss of energy through heat while charging, about 80% losses in the drivetrain through heat and friction, and about 3% for all auxiliary loads like cooling. Additionally, because an EV can regenerate electricity on deceleration, it makes up for about 22% of energy loss. Thus, from charger to wheels, a battery electric car is about 91% efficient in terms of how it uses its energy. A gas car, on the other hand, loses about 70% of its power through heat loss and an additional 10% through drivetrain and auxiliary loads, making the gas car horribly inefficient at just 20%.
Finally, the fuel cell in a hydrogen car is only about 50% efficient, which is better than the gas car, but far worse than the battery electric vehicle. Okay, so it's not super efficient, but it is at very least better than a gas car. And hey, hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe, and it can be cleanly collected through electrolysis. This means that theoretically it could outweigh the efficiency benefits of a battery electric car that's being charged from a coal power plant.
Yay, that is so true. Electrolysis is a clean way to generate hydrogen. It's called green hydrogen. So, problem solved. Okay, you all know where this is going. Let's just rip the band-aid off. Less than 1% of hydrogen is produced using this method. Almost all of the world's hydrogen, as in 95%, is what's called gray hydrogen, which uses fossil fuels to generate. The process for generating this hydrogen releases up to 10 tons of CO2 gas for every ton of hydrogen generated. This means for every tank of gray hydrogen you put in your car, 56 kilograms of CO2 is released into the environment. Or, a better number is 187 grams of CO2 per mile. While this is technically about half of what is released by a combustion engine vehicle, it is twice as high as a worst-case scenario for a battery electric car. A battery electric car being exclusively charged on coal-generated electricity will produce about 83 grams of CO2 per mile. Battery electric cars are far more environmentally friendly than hydrogen cars. Stop! I see you in the comments section. Scroll back up. I know exactly what you were going to comment. What about the batteries? Now, before you watch any more of this video, I want you to go watch his video from Technology Connections because he explains way more elegantly than I ever could why that's such a stupid fucking argument. Make sure you come back to this video after you watch that one, though. Thanks, Alec. Just a tangent here, but hydrogen comes in all kinds of fun color designations. Green for electrolysis, turquoise for natural gas, blue for gas reforming with carbon capture, gray for steam reforming, black for coal carbonization, brown for the same thing but with brown coal, red for nuclear heat at thermolysis, pink for nuclear electrolysis, yellow for solar electrolysis, gold for microbial exhaust, and white for naturally occurring. There are a ton of ways of producing hydrogen, but we choose to do it in one of the least environmentally friendly ways possible. Pretty cool. If you want to know more about this stuff, I highly recommend the book The Hype About Hydrogen by Joe Romm. It was one of my main sources for this part of the video. Now, this is a bit out of the scope of this video, but I do want to touch on it briefly, and that is hydrogen trucking. The largest stated appeal of hydrogen trucking over battery electric trucking is hydrogen is just far more energy dense than batteries. Modern batteries have an energy density of around 1 megajoule per kilogram, but hydrogen has an energy density of up to 140 megajoules per kilogram, orders of magnitude larger than that of batteries. And just for reference, gasoline is only 48 megajoules per kilogram, so hydrogen is the clear winner in terms of eco-conscious trucking. However, like we discussed earlier, the amount of hydrogen needed to move a semi-truck would release 93 kilograms of CO2 per tank, where a comparable battery electric semi, charged exclusively on coal power, would only produce 41 kilograms of CO2. The other main argument made for hydrogen trucking is the refuel time. However, because of just how massive these tanks are in these hydrogen semi-trucks, it still takes about 30 minutes to refuel. Compare that to modern mega charging technology and it's basically the same. I would love to do a deep dive video on hydrogen trucking in the future, but don't expect that video anytime soon. Up to this point in the video, all my information has been about the American hydrogen industry, but I don't know if you know this, but America's not the only country. Hydrogen car infrastructure is much more mature in other countries, with China leading the world in terms of their hydrogen car market. Last year in China, 7,797 hydrogen fuel cell cars were sold, which might not seem like a lot, but here that is compared with the other countries. And here's that compared with battery electric cars. Yeah, even overseas, hydrogen technology is still very niche. Okay, I've been doing a lot of talking about hydrogen fuel cell cars here, but in all honesty, I've never even driven one. So to fix that, I rented a Gen 1 Mirai to daily drive for a week. And then at the end of this week, I'm going to road trip it down to LA to go to my favorite bagel shop in the entire world, Hank's Bagels. Hank's Bagels. I love you, Hank's Bagels. All right, so first day of commuting in the Mirai. I don't want this to be like a review of the Mirai, but I will say the car is very comfortable. It does feel big, but then again, I've been driving a Think City for the past 2 weeks. But no, it's great, and it feels very similar to just a normal electric car. There's a little bit of a vacuum pump noise that I noticed, but overall, it feels no different than a standard electric car. The problem is, though, is normally I would charge at work, but I can't do that, obviously, in a hydrogen car. So now I have to think about actually refueling this thing. I don't have to do it today, but probably tomorrow I'll want to stop at a refueling station, and that's just not something you have to think about in an electric car, because I just charge at home or I charge at work. The first day was uneventful, but things were about to take a turn for the worse. So I rented a Mirai to drive for the week, but I was just checking the hydrogen fuel cell map. Apparently there's a big shortage right now. Uh-oh.
In Colton, a truck carrying hydrogen exploded, killing one man and injuring another. This happened just before 11 last night on Miguel Bustamante Parkway and South Riverside Avenue in Colton. Crews arrived to find that truck and a few trailers engulfed in flames. According to the San Bernardino Sun, one man was found dead at the scene. A second man was taken to the hospital with burns.
Because of this, all transportation of gaseous hydrogen in the state of California was completely halted. This explosion did kill one person, and I do not want to undermine the severity of that situation at all, but it did mean that finding fuel was going to be difficult. I was really hoping this issue would be resolved by Friday because the station at Harris Ranch had gone down, and this station was the only one connecting San Francisco to LA and me to Hank's Bagels. On the second day, I was running low on fuel. Normally this wouldn't be a problem because there is a hydrogen fuel station on my way into work. But because of the outage, this one was closed. On our way into work, and there's a super convenient charging station right there, but it's completely empty. There's no hydrogen in there right now, so we'll figure that out on our way home, I guess. We ended up having to go 30 minutes out of our way to the Sunnyvale station, and this was my first time using a hydrogen refueling station, so there was a little bit of a learning curve. Concerning. There's gotta be like a lock or something. Before, it would open if you just pressed it. But then I did it a few times in a row for B-roll, and it stopped opening. Let me Google this real quick.
Is it that?
Oh, yeah. Good job. I was a little worried I had broken it. Alright, I'm glad there's instructions here, but you just pops in. Is that good? My options are H70M or H70, but it's telling me H70. It was blinking, so I'm assuming that's the right one. And it's going. Look at that. Film that. Oh, it stopped. Oh. Okay. I don't know why it stopped. Okay. It's making different noises, but it's still going. Exhilarating. I think it's done. Yeah, it stopped making noise. Oh my god. L. Does that mean done? It says fueling in progress. Are we good? Stop. Remove nozzle. Push handle, pull back sleeve. Got it.
That seems a little...
It is very cool. We're learning. That's a lot of money. That is substantially more expensive than what it would have cost to fill up my electric car. Let's get out of here. On Wednesday, the company I work for, shout out Tello Trucks, was taking our test vehicle up to the track in Sonoma, and my original plan was to bring the Mirai with us to test its semi-long distance capabilities. But unfortunately, the outage was still going strong, and hydrogen was still very expensive. I did not want to pay for more hydrogen.
Lock up whoever does.
Well, there goes the Mirai as we're driving away. Focus. I was gonna bring it with us to the track to oh my god, it won't focus. Look, it's a Tello. We were gonna take it to the track with the Tello, but hydrogen is just so expensive.
No, you'd go bankrupt.
I'd go bankrupt. It's so expensive. I just didn't want to take it. So we're going in the old outdated. You know, hydrogen's gonna take over electric cars soon.
Probably next year.
Yeah. On Thursday, nothing interesting happened. I didn't even record anything in the car. And the outage was still going strong. I was losing hope that I was going to be able to make it to Hank's Bagels. Well, I woke up Friday morning, and the outage is still growing strong. So unfortunately, I will not be getting my Hank's Bagels. But, that being said, my friends Andrew and Robert are still coming out here today, and we still have a road trip to do. So we are going to do the only road trip possible in a hydrogen fuel cell car at the moment, and that is going from San Francisco to Reno, Nevada. Fuck. I really wanted that Hank's Bagels. Now I'm going to fucking Reno. We're cruising. Cruising and boozing.
We're not doing the second part. This is not alcohol.
With the concerning lack of hydrogen fuel stations available, we set our sights on Reno, Nevada. Our first stop was at the station in Oakland, and we didn't really need to stop here, but the station in Sacramento was getting lower and lower by the minute, and we were genuinely worried that we weren't going to be able to fill up in Sacramento, which would mean that we wouldn't be able to make it to Reno. So we wanted to take this opportunity to get as full as we possibly could.
Please remove the nipple.
Oh, yes, sir.
You're so mean to it.
Do we stand back now?
What is the grade? What is M?
I don't know.
High octane hydrogen?
I'll Google it and have a voiceover here explaining what that is.
Hey, this is that voiceover explaining what that is. H70M is like a membership program that has never been implemented, and it's supposed to be cheaper, but again, it's never actually been used. So I'm not sure what's up with it nowadays. Also, if you were worried about what Robert was pointing to here in this freeze frame, another Mirai pulled up. It was very boring.
I don't want to record other people's cars.
Yeah, it's the better Mirai, though.
It is the better Mirai.
After we got a full tank, we set our sights on Sacramento, and we slowly watched as the station drained while we headed up. We were really hoping it wouldn't be out of fuel when we showed up. As we pulled into the station in Sacramento, there was only enough fuel left for about 5 cars to refill. And what we saw was not encouraging.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
There's
no!
a line! No!
Oh no!
Traffic. There's also a tow truck here.
That's a good sign.
That means somebody broke down.
Well, get in line. We're all Gen 1 Mirais here.
Why is the other side chained off? If we can't fill up here, we cannot make it to Reno.
As we waited in line to refuel, we started questioning the fundamentals of hydrogen-powered cars.
Can we just point out the irony of the whole point of hydrogen is that it's supposed to refuel quickly, yet here we are waiting in line.
And that guy, it's taking so long that this guy is just hanging out in his car. So this is the only hydrogen fuel station in Sacramento.
Yeah.
The capital of California.
Yes.
The only state where you can buy hydrogen cars.
Yes. And it is bleak.
It is very sad here.
I think it's in the middle of an oil refinery, not entirely clear.
And
there is a little oil rig there, and there's a bunch of tanks.
And also, half of it's broken.
Yeah. And it's very low on hydrogen as well.
And they can't refuel it right now.
And they can't refuel it right
So once this station runs out of fuel here, they can't refill it. And if you own a hydrogen car in Sacramento, you're fucked.
Remember, Palm Springs used to have a hydrogen fueling station. There were probably Mirai owners in Palm Springs, and now that station is gone.
It's kind of sad. Honestly, it's a little depressing.
It is.
Finally, with only about 2 cars worth of hydrogen left in the station, we made it to the front of the line, and we were able to fill up.
I have to pee.
I do too.
Here you go.
Oh, you know what? The car probably does too. Don't do that while it's refueling. I don't want to break anything. Pee time.
It's in the front.
It's in the
back.
There it goes.
Yes, good car.
You get a drink in there. It starts slow and then it'll like ramp up and it like steams. It's like hot.
Oh, there it goes. I can feel the steam actually. Oh, that's hot.
Robert's really into this.
With everyone, including the car, having taken a piss, we began heading up the mountain towards Truckee, California, which would be the last refilling stop on our trip.
It's very loud here, but we made it. So I guess the question of, can you road trip a hydrogen car? Technically, yes. If that road trip is from San Francisco to Truckee. It used to be that you could go from San Francisco to Los Angeles, but at this point in time, you can't do that. This trip that we just did is the only road trip at this point in time that you can take in a hydrogen car. And it might not even last much longer because the stations that we stopped at, including this one, are all air refilled stations, which means once these are out, they cannot refill them until this whole weird outage gets solved, which no idea when that's gonna get solved. We've talked to True Zero, we've talked to the other one that I'm blanking on. Basically everyone's saying, we don't know when it's gonna be back online. So until that happens, whatever's left in this station and whatever's left in the station in Sacramento is all the fuel you can get outside of the Bay Area and Los Angeles. But we made it, and that's all that matters. And I'm so glad this station worked because I did not want to get stuck up here. Let's go gamble.
We figured since we were lucky enough to make it this far in the hydrogen car, we would try our luck in some slot machines. Why not? When in Reno, I guess.
When we come back to this car, we're gonna be rich. We made it here, so our luck is good.
Gambling.
Smells like cigarette smoking.
Gambling.
Wow. Was it worth it?
Is this it?
What do you mean, is this it?
Huh?
Which machine is your favorite?
I don't gamble. I'm doing this for Declan
For the bit.
and science. You're doing it for the gap. You spent $7.
No, you lost.
That was 30 seconds and you just vaporized $20. Holy crap.
All right, you guys ready to go back?
We won. We won. You're not even going to cash it out?
No, it's a souvenir. Alright, it's time to answer the question that I asked at the beginning of the video. Are hydrogen cars stupid? I've actually thought about how I want to answer this question quite a bit, because I do want to be fair to the cars. That being said, stupid might be a bit harsh, but they are just a little bit silly. Environmentally, they're like Diet Coke. Sure, it's healthier than regular Coke, but drinking water would just be better. Water in this case being a battery electric car. Also, it seems like on a daily basis, the infrastructure just gets worse and worse, and the price of hydrogen is still far above the price of gasoline and electricity. My advice, if you're looking to buy a hydrogen car, just buy a battery electric car. They're way better. If you do drive a hydrogen car, or are just super interested in the technology, great! I think that's super cool. Without people like you keeping the technology alive, I wouldn't be able to make a video like this. At the end of the day, even though I do think they're a little bit silly, and maybe I don't fully understand their place in the market, I do still think the technology is really cool, and I do look forward to seeing what happens with it in the future.
I don't know that I'm necessarily hopeful that we get a lot more infrastructure going forward, but I think the existing infrastructure becoming a lot more robust.
If the cost of the hydrogen goes low and we have refueling stations, the cars, the technology, I believe, especially for light-duty cars, is already there. So we can utilize fuel cell.
We're all pioneers in a sense, and all of this technology needs to get better. But we're smart people in this world, and I think we'll overcome the challenges on both sides. And I'd like to say we'll come back in, I don't know, 20 years, and maybe most of the cars on the road will no longer be spewing toxins with every mile. So I'll knock on wood.
The public is becoming such more aware of the technology and the need for green technologies. I very rarely have to explain what a fuel cell is anymore, but it's a little bit more familiar, and that's a big part of getting hydrogen into our economy, is educating the public.
I just really think it's fascinating technology, and not that I don't think that EVs are fascinating, because I've always loved EVs and always will as well, but this is just something different. And even if it doesn't work or take off and they end up abandoning the whole thing altogether, I think it'd be kind of cool to look back like 40 years from now and be like, I had one of those hydrogen cars.
And that is the end of my script. This video took me 4 months to make. So, thanks for watching. If you're still here, well, I mean, you're already here. You might as well hit the subscribe and like button and leave a comment. And while you're at it, have a 10% off on the merch site. Because look at these cool designs. I mean, shout out to Declan and May for these incredible designs. I'm off script right now, which is never a good thing for me. Yeah, thanks for watching. I have more videos coming up soon. Not quite this long. I need to do some shorter videos. They're shorter videos, but they're still very cool. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, I'm out of things to say. Love you.